Creating tension through your hips and core can be one of the most challenging things when it comes to throwing your backhands farther, straighter, with more spin, and really stretching out your distance potential. We just saw a video from Leon Sunleitner a day or two ago that addressed some of the things that you can do that'll help you create more tension when you're throwing a backhand. And what Leon said, basically to boil down his 10-minute video into one main concept, is that your hips and your shoulders need to find a position where they're perpendicular to one another. When your shoulders become perpendicular to your hips, you now have tension. And I think this was a really good thing to talk about. And I've heard other disc golf coaches talk about, coiling, uncoiling. And I just don't think saying coiling and uncoiling, that doesn't really fully help you understand what that tension is supposed to feel like. And creating tension where your shoulders and hips are working against one another, as Leon would say, it's actually a fairly uncomfortable feeling. And when you first get tension on your backhand, you're in this position, you're reached back with your hips sort of working in the other direction. It's quite uncomfortable. And I feel like a lot of coaches don't really explain that that is kind of an uncomfortable feeling. But that's the feeling that you should be looking for when you want to create that tension. Because I know I used to do this. I used to do my walk up and my hips and my torso would turn together. So not just my shoulders coiling back, but also my hips were coiling back. This is going to cause you to leak power, it's going to cause you to round, and it's going to cause all sorts of issues with your backhand throw. I tried to film a video about this yesterday, but I really wanted to marinate on the thought process of what it should feel like and how to utilize coiling. So hopefully I can explain this in a way that helps you guys understand it a little bit better as well. The main thing is that the shoulders, to create tension in your core, must be perpendicular to your hips in the reach back part of the throw. So hopefully thinking about it in that way, shoulders perpendicular to hips, hopefully that helps you feel that tension in your core. You'll feel it almost in like the low back a little bit. You'll feel it all through your abs and obliques. It's a very bizarre feeling to feel what that tension feels like. One last thing about this that I think is important, if you watch Leon's video, when he says the hips and shoulders are working against each other, I think this is true, but I was really emphasizing letting my hips like force against my shoulders. Like I'm really trying to keep my hips out there. I think this can be a recipe for disaster and injury if done improperly. So I would definitely say proceed, really messing with this hip action, proceed with caution. And what I find makes more sense for me is to try and keep my hips in a fixed position where my hips are resisting rotating backwards, but they're also not necessarily like being forced forwards either. I felt like when I was really trying to have my upper body go this way and my lower body go that way, I really felt like there was a good chance I was going to injure myself doing that. So what worked a lot better for me was just really trying to be strict about my hips being in a fixed position and then letting the shoulder coil create all that tension, but just not allowing my hips to go that way. Because once the hips go that way, you have no coil, you have no tension, and you're gonna get no distance. This is what I've boiled it down to in a way that helps me understand it and actually be able to apply it. So it breaks down really into two simple things. The shoulders at some point need to be perpendicular to your hips. The hips cannot pivot in the direction of your shoulders. So if those hips are coming out this way, your tension is gone. You've got no tension. We really need to be there. And it feels like it takes away some of your kind of like reach back length. If you're trying that really far back reach back, you're not creating tension unless the shoulders and the hips are as Leon would say, working against each other and becoming perpendicular to one another. That's the first thing. The second thing is tension feels uncomfortable, but if you want to throw really far and throw really far with ease without having to throw with your arm, you're throwing with your whole body, then you need to create that tension, but that tension is somewhat uncomfortable. So anyway, creating tension is something that I think it was holding my distance back. I feel like I'm throwing the disc faster, but I just kind of need to dial it in a little bit more. So if you guys see any other problems with my form, let me know in the comments below, because I would love to continue to work on it. I'm starting to really be able to stretch my distance out on max distance lines to that 425, 450-ish range. And I don't know if I'm capable of 500 feet, but I would like to think that I have the athletic ability, but I just need to continue to find ways where I can channel it. So if you guys see any other problems with my form, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm open ears to continuing to hear things that are gonna help me get better. But anyway, I hope these 2 tips help you when it comes to your coil. Shout out to Leon. Thanks for explaining everything to us in ways that are easy to understand. And then I kind of took it and made it my own. But that whole arc of how I think about coiling and uncoiling and tension, Leon kind of put me in the right direction. And then I kind of had to make it my own with what works for me. Again, forcing my hips forward while pulling my shoulders back, it just felt like I was going to injure something in my hips or my low back. Just didn't feel quite right. Maybe that's the ideal way to do it. But keeping my hips in a fixed position, like reaching back without letting your hips go back, immediately creates tension for me. And I think it'll help create tension for a lot of you guys as well. But anyway, let me know in the comment section down below. You guys are watching Iceberg TV. Shout out to Berg Sport. The new V4 is available on pre-order. We have the black and the beautiful minty green. The mint green just looks absolutely gorgeous. I'll be using one of those ASAP. But right now I'm just showing you guys the black one. And yeah, you can use code ICE20 to save 20% on this bad boy over at bergsdiscsports.com. I'll see you guys in the next video, and take care.